I'm going to go over some different suture that's used in veterinary medicine. Suture varies based on its tensile strength in pounds per square inch, its memory, so how much it wants to retain the original shape that it was packaged in, its flexibility, whether it's absorbable or not. There is non-absorbable suture that usually lasts for 2 years, and then there is absorbable suture that usually starts to break down via leukocytes and hydrolysis after 9 days, and that can take up to 2 years. It also varies in its capillarity, so its likelihood to wick microbes to the inside of it. Also its structure, whether it's braided, or which is a multifilament, or a monofilament, and also its color. So sometimes it's nice to use a color that is different than the hair coat or the skin color of the pet that it's put on, so that it's easier to do suture removals and see all the sutures. And also its origin. There is natural suture, and there's also synthetic. So the natural suture can be made out of, for example, cat gut is made out of sheep intestinal mucosa, and then synthetic, there's nylon and various other materials that can be used to create suture. I have some examples here of suture. It ranges in size as well, so it ranges in size from a number 5, which is quite large, to 11 aught. Aught means 0, so if you have lots of zeros, that means it's increasingly smaller, so it keeps getting smaller, decreasing in size. So 5 aught is smaller than 4 aught, which is smaller than 3 aught, which is smaller than 2 aught, and then aught. And then when it's just whole numbers, it increases in size. So 5 is a much larger suture than a 1. So I have some examples. They're used for different things, and they also vary based on, their ability to stay in knots. For example, braided suture, usually the knots will hold better than suture that is monofilament. But here I have some different sizes. I have 3/0 Vicryl. This is an absorbable suture. It's made out of a synthetic material. And then, let's see, that one is the same. They're both 3/0 multifilament absorbable. And then we have Maxon, which is monofilament absorbable, and this is 4/0, so this is a smaller suture size than the 3/0. And then right here I have some 5/0, which is a really small suture, and that is non-absorbable. It's made out of polypropylene, and it is monofilament as well. So another monofilament suture that's used in orthopedics is this right here, and it's got a really high tensile strength. So that's more for orthopedic, and it's definitely wouldn't form a knot as easy as some of the smaller ones, and also the ones that are multifilament. You'll use if you are really concerned about knot slippage, you would want to use, like for example on a vessel, you'd want to use a multifilament suture. If you want it to be really strong, you would use a monofilament that's a large size, that'll have a greater tensile strength. Some reasons you'd use absorbable suture is if it's going to remain inside the body, then the body can break it down. With all of our spays at the pet stop, the doctors prefer to use the absorbable, so they would use these absorbable braided sutures, and the size depending on the pet, and that way the owner does not have to bring the pet back in 2 weeks for a suture removal, because the body will just absorb those. And that completes my example of different sutures.